Welcome to a new Scuderia Ferrari Racing News program. After the first overseas races, the team is preparing for the Turkish Grand Prix. We find out how, with Felipe Massa and Nicolas Toon Badzis, chief designer.
Well, the feeling is to get better, you know. For sure is to improve the car. So we're working very, very hard in these 3 weeks from one race to the other one to have a step forward and to try to make the better result at the end of the race compared to our first 3 races. So that's our feeling, and we're working very, very hard to get better and better race by race, and even to improve the car better than the other teams, which we have a lot of good teams around as well. Yeah, we have some updates. For sure, we're working very, very hard, as I said, from China to Turkey. We have, I hope we can do a big step forward. The others are working very, very hard as well, but I hope we can do a step bigger than the others, and we can be even more strong qualifying and also in the race. And not just about this race, but also working hard to bring other new pieces to the other races and make this car growing quick, because it's what we need as well. Well, first of all, it's a real circuit, so it's very special. Great corners, quick corners, a lot of nice change of directions, some technical parts on the track that is slow, difficult. That makes the track special, especially for what I like. It's one of the tracks I like most, and also, you know, it's so special. I mean, go there and win 3 times. It was my first victory in 2006, and for sure your first victory is one of the most important, you know, because you started, you know, your nice career, you know, having your first victory. But also the 3rd time I won there in a row, it was very, very special as well. So it's a place I really enjoy to go to race, and I hope we don't stop on 3 wins. I hope we have more, and we fight for this weekend. Well, it's a very quick corner. So you have 4 corners in one, you know, very, very high lateral G-force is the highest in Formula 1 we have in this corner. And to make this corner perfectly is not very easy, because I mean you have almost you know, full throttle. You back off a little bit especially in the first part of the corner. You have some bumps in the middle, which is easy to lose the car. So that's, to make the corner perfectly is very difficult, and this makes the corner very special.
We must admit that we've had a very disappointing start of the season. The results have not been anywhere near what we expected, and we haven't been where we want to be, which is to be fighting for wins. So we have analyzed as a result what's wrong, where we're missing performance compared to our main competitors, and we have realized that a big part of the performance missing comes from the aerodynamics. That is related to 2 main reasons. One part of the problem is, but not the whole problem, is that we did have a significant correlation issue between the wind tunnel and the track, which means that the gains we saw in the wind tunnel did not then deliver at the track. For the first race package we introduced, we were measuring in the wind tunnel a fairly significant step forward, and we were expecting to see that at the track. And on the other hand, we didn't. So that is a fairly serious problem, and we have analyzed to see why the wind tunnel was not predicting the truth. And we have taken some actions in order to correct some areas where perhaps the wind tunnel was not operating in the completely optimal way. But it should be fair to say that our competitors have done a very good job, and even if we hadn't had this correlation issue, I don't think we can say that we would have been there fighting for wins. So we have also done a very deep review of our approach inside the company, and we have realized that we're not let's say aggressive enough with our or ambitious enough with our development, and we were a bit too passive in our approach. So that is something that, of course, can creep into an organization, and we have taken a lot of made a lot of adjustments in our approach and the way we operate in order to try and recover that more innovative spirit. So the whole company now is geared towards recovering in that way, and I think we're making good progress. For Turkey, we will have some new components on the car, and we expect they're going to make some difference. I don't think they will be sufficient to be able to fight for wins at this point yet. We will have new wings, both front and rear, some new areas on the brake ducts, and new floor. So these things put together should make a reasonable step forward. We did an aero test last week in Vairano, and we measured the effect of these components, and I think they represent a step forward. That said, we will make much bigger steps forward in the coming races after Turkey. The Turkey package had to be frozen in terms of configuration a bit before China, and therefore we haven't had time yet to make the full reaction. The performance of a modern Formula One car comes primarily from aerodynamics, and these days the aerodynamics of cars are extremely complicated because there's a very complicated set of interactions between vortices coming from the various wings and hot exhaust gases with the rest of the car, with the bodywork. So these things we obviously try to measure to the best of our ability in the wind tunnel, but we need confirmation on a periodic basis that what we're reading in the wind tunnel is correct. So the aero test gives us the opportunity to measure these things on the real car. We put more sensors on the car, we measure the actual flow, we try to see if the vortices and the exhaust gases and other phenomena behave in the same way as the wind tunnel, and essentially the car goes up and down a straight at a constant speed, but during those intervals we manage to measure its characteristics in a much more accurate way. Essentially a big part of the car's downforce is produced by the diffuser, the floor, and it has been recently found out that the exhaust can have a significant effect to enhance that effect. So by pointing the exhaust gases in a particular area of the floor and getting them to act in a certain way, one can achieve a sort of a sealing effect at the edges of the floor, and therefore equivalent as if one could sort of close the gap between the floor and the ground, and that does make the diffuser operate a lot more strongly and produce more downforce. Clearly that also depends on how the driver drives the car, how he uses the gas, and that can also affect the car's downforce. I think I mentioned this partially at the beginning of this interview. I think the accusation is not totally wrong. We must not delude ourselves and believe that we've done a better job than the others when clearly we haven't. So the truth is that we have not been as innovative as we should have been, and we have tried to search inside our organization the reasons for this. And we have found a number of things which were sort of impeding or delaying that innovation, making us a bit more passive in our approach. So part of the changes, and I think as significant as the technical changes to the car, is the fact that we've changed our approach and put a lot more effort in getting new concepts and new ideas onto the car, and to be able to take them as quickly as possible to the track. So I think the accusation is partially correct. I think we are the same people who were in the company when we won titles, so therefore we know how to do the job, but we are now putting a new sort of effort into the car in order to recover. I can confirm the 2012 car has started. otherwise it would be getting too late. Clearly these issues I mentioned earlier about innovation, about trying to have a more aggressive approach into the car design, we are also using these different approaches also for the new car. The new car at the moment has a different program than the car that's running at the track. Whereas the car that's running at the track, we do primarily development of wings, bodywork, etc. On the new car, we have to determine the fundamental layout of the car, the chassis, the gearbox, suspensions, cooling system, etc. So the work we're doing at the moment in the wind tunnel and in the design office is in order to determine the fundamental layout of the car during the spring and early summer. I'm quite convinced that we will manage to do that. The main area when you have a big problem is to be able to analyze one's mistakes, to see where one has to react. I think we've done that. We have decided that we can't go on trailing the main competitors, and I think the program we're putting together now is one that should aim to put us back to the top.
After the first 3 races, let's make the point on Ferrari engines with Luca Marmorini, Head of Engine and Electronics.
From an engine point of view, we can be relatively happy about the results so far. We hadn't measured issues on reliability point of view. In terms of performance, we could bring some improvement to the car in the framework of the regulation, but of course we would like to improve a lot on this, so we are working to be able to give a better contribution to the car performance. Fuel consumption remains a very important item on car performance, so we have worked long during the winter to improve further the good job we did last year with our partner Shell, and we are thinking to bring some improvement during the season as well to improve efficiency of the engine. CART so far has been an important contribution to the car performance. Ferrari had already some experience during 2009, so this was a benefit for us during this season. We improved our system, and so far it has given its contribution without major reliability issues. We are planning some minor development during the season as well. Customer teams are very important for the development of the engine performance. You can consider that we have no chance to do testing during the season. So if the engine and the cars can run in 3 cars rather than 1, we can increase a lot the data where we can develop reliability and performance. So this is a very important contribution to our activity, and this is also allow us to increase the number of possibility to understand issues during the season. Exhausts are one of the few parts of the engine that are still allowed to be modified. We would like to modify exhausts just for engine performance, but with the current Formula 1 regulation, it seems that exhaust gases can help aerodynamic to be better. So in Ferrari we are working in strict contact with our aerodynamic people, and we are trying to develop engine mapping in order to improve the aerodynamic efficiency in some part of the lap. 2013 is getting really closer probably too much. In 2013 the regulation is a big change. I would say it's a revolution because it's a completely different concept of powertrain that in some part is extremely interesting. On some other probably we need some further discussion to detail in a better way. Anyway, Ferrari is working to be ready in 2013. We still are struggling a little bit because the chassis regulation is not defined yet, and as you know in Formula 1 an engine and a chassis have to be designed and developed together. So this is the missing input we have at the moment, but we are working. So far we are mostly concentrated on research, basic research to understand the implication of the new regulation on the engine.
The famous Istanbul Autodrome, the major difficulties and the turn 8. Let's take a lap with Mark Jene, test driver.
Turkish Grand Prix, clearly everybody remembers this track for the turn 8, famous turn 8. Is the number of G-force that you are sustaining on your left side of your neck is incredible. There's no other corner in the world where we drivers, we are really having problems standing still. And I have to say Tilke, the designer of most tracks nowadays, has done a very good job because it's a very modern track, but still with some specific and special corners that you don't see so often nowadays in the new tracks.
This is all with this program. See you next time.